It took a while. I started this channel way back in 2013, just before I published Sugar Freedom, which was my e-program. And then after that, I published Keep the Change, Transform Your Body for Good, which is still available over at Amazon. But it took a while for my channel to grow, and it really didn't start growing until I went carnivore and then also started to do Shuffle Dance. So a lot of my new subscribers and followers have come from Shuffle Dance, and thank you. But originally, I started my channel to help people deal with sugar addiction. I've been a sugar addict as long as I can remember, at least since I was 5 or 6 years old. And I quit sugar by replacing it with foods that don't overstimulate my appetite. And then finally, back in 2018, I did March Meatness with Dr. Sean Baker and went carnivore for a significant period of time. And ever since that, I have been at a healthy, normal weight. My top non-pregnancy weight was about 187 pounds. And then I went down to about 115. And I have stabilized for the rest of my life at underneath 125 pounds. And I'm about 5'1". So I've been at a normal, healthy weight for more than 15, 16 years now. But I just want to share a couple of carnivore tips. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on a couple of groups that are carnivore groups, and I have to be very careful on those groups not to break any of the rules. And so sometimes I can't talk about the things that I do that aren't strictly carnivore that really help me to overcome my sugar addiction and stay off of sugar. And of course, the first one that's most important is I use ACV, apple cider vinegar, organic, unfiltered apple cider vinegar every day. Usually now just a tablespoon or two. I'll take a tablespoon in the morning with water. I put a little stevia in there so it's not too sour. And sometimes if this doesn't agree with you, you can also use an ACV tablet. And some people take the ACV tablet before bed and it really helps their blood sugar overnight. The other thing that I don't necessarily talk about that much other places is berberine. And up until I turned 60 this year, and I never had to use really berberine or anything like that to deal with my blood sugar or to help my appetite before. But now that I've turned 60, I definitely noticed that I seem to get that hunger in the afternoon, especially if I don't use my ACV. And what I have found now is that the berberine really helps. Berberine, I learned about it first from Jimmy Moore on his Livin' La Vida Low Carb show. And that was well over 10 years ago that he started to talk about berberine. And I didn't really use it even though I had been diagnosed with prediabetes during my pregnancy. I had pregnancy-induced hypertension and problems with my blood glucose ever since I was before I was 40 years old. But at 60, I noticed that once I started taking a berberine tablet every morning, my appetite is just it's almost like effortless management of appetite. And some of that comes from being carnivore. When I went carnivore back in 2018, I found that I did not get hungry in the middle of the day anymore. And I just naturally started doing intermittent fasting because I naturally started only wanting 2 meals a day. And it was effortless. I didn't have to do anything else. But now that I'm 60, I really find that just the berberine tablet in the morning with some water really helps. There's plenty of research. There's public scientific research on berberine now, so you can go and check it out, and you don't have to just take my word for it. My Australian Shepherd wants out. Here we go. And then the other thing that I do want to mention that my doctor prescribed for me way back when I was 40 years old, and it's not a prescription, but she wrote me a prescription to go get DHEA at the health food store. And I didn't keep using it because back when I took it when I was around 40, it tended to make my heart race. But now that I'm over 60, I do take a 25 milligram tablet every morning. And I do find that it also helps with just, energy, with mood, and with managing my blood glucose. But those are both things that was something that was originally told to me by my doctor. So check with your doctor on these things, especially something like DHEA, which is the precursor for testosterone and estrogen. Anything hormonal, you don't necessarily want to listen to just a layperson like me. Although I was a certified personal trainer for years, I can't tell you what to eat, but I can talk about what I eat and what I do to maintain my health. So I've got my note card so I don't forget things. So once again, thank you for 20,000 subscribers. And dancing really helps me to get off of sugar. One of the things I want to do this year is raise awareness of reward deficiency syndrome. I want to help 100,000 people learn about deficiency syndrome, which is a genetic change. It's a genetic adaptation. It is the A1 allele of the D2 dopamine receptor, and it tends to run in populations that have experienced famine. So I am a historical descendant of the Irish potato famine. That's how my people came over to the United States. And they do find among people who have dealt with starvation, sometimes there is this adjustment of this D2 dopamine receptor, which can lead to things like compulsive overeating. It also seems to be involved in things like gambling addiction, obviously sugar addiction, ADHD. And one of the things that I have found that the ability to get over the compulsion to overconsume exciting things, no matter what they are, whether it's gambling or sugar, is insulin sensitivity has been a huge help in that. So going carnivore, reducing carbohydrates, and gaining insulin sensitivity, also through training and some weightlifting, helps me to manage those impulses. So I really do feel that learn about reward deficiency syndrome if you have any issues with attention or with overeating. I also was addicted to nicotine and alcohol, and I got off of those too. But if you understand reward deficiency syndrome, you might gain an understanding of what is driving your overeating if you ever deal with overeating and those kinds of issues. The other thing I do want to talk about is I overcame obesity over 14 years ago. And of course, I did it without drugs. That being said, the new drugs, the GLP-1 drugs, semaglutide, Ozempic, I have no problem if you can get relief from everything that I suffered for like 40 years by getting something that helps you manage your blood sugar and your gastric emptying. I am all for it. But I think that for many of the people who are thinking of going on semaglutide, one of the reasons that I think semaglutide works, because they're starting to understand that it also works for mental health disorders. I do believe that semaglutide, by helping people to manage their blood glucose, gastric emptying, and there also seems to be an effect on just these broad issues of reward deficiency syndrome, that people are really getting help. And so you might try ACV, you might try berberine before you try pharmaceuticals. But if you do decide that you need them, understanding why they work and also understanding how weightlifting can really help to enhance the action of whether it's good nutrition or whether it is semaglutide. Lift those weights, do things that you love. It can really make a huge difference. So I also want the concept of being a hypercarnivore. What is carnivore? What isn't? The scientific definition for an animal that is a hypercarnivore is any animal that gets more than 70% of its nutrition from meat from other animals. So I guess in a way, human is a kind of animal. So if you're getting more than 70%, you could call yourself a hypercarnivore, so you qualify. So that is my live for today. Just thanking everyone for 20,000 subscribers and talking a little bit about berberine, and also do some weightlifting. And I'm going to be sharing more of my tips to do resistance training safely over 50 or 60 and beyond. All right. Until next time, be well and eat for yourself. Take care, everybody.